He is so cool. He's so funny. Oh. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Unapologetic Queens Radio Show. I'm hearing an echo.
Yeah, where is this coming from? I don't know where it's coming from, y'all.
It's crazy. Well, I like the sound of your voice, though.
Yes, I like the sound of yours, too.
Why got these on? Y'all don't.
Because, honestly, they hurt my ears.
Yeah, they
Why I had to
really
put them
Because
most guys put them on.
Yeah, with these on. Look how we starting off.
What? Okay, so as you see, we have two very dope people in the studio with us. And introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Maria. I am the founder of Concrete Conversations, and I'm also a relationship coach.
Yes, she is. And introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Lowen. You can call me Lo. But I actually just came in off the streets. I work at the airport in business aviation.
Oh, congrats. That's dope.
This seems like a conversation we need to have about, male-female relationships and how we can improve them.
Indeed.
And what else?
Nah, that's really it. So he came in,
today.
and the way it happened was, we had Maria on the show, and we were like, yeah, it's lit. And he came in, he's like, I have a proposition. I just want to talk to y'all. Why y'all call yourselves Unapologetic Queens? And we explained, and then he was like, so what do y'all think about the phrase happy wife, happy life? And then it opened this whole
boom. It was like,
we were like, this is great, but we're running late for our show, so let's do this. Let's do it on air.
And so Maria is our formal guest, so we'll let Maria talk about why she's here and
what she does.
Well, again, I am a relationship coach. I also am the founder of Concrete Conversations, which is an organization that advocates eliminating communication failure between men and women, just to promote honest, open, happy, healthy, long-lasting relationships within our community. And that starts with open, honest, and forthcoming communication. So I also have a podcast, Concrete Conversations, on YouTube, and that is actually his and her perspectives on dating, relationships, love, and life. And we just are open and honest, just giving people, the raw about their relationships and giving them just a different perspective.
Word. Major key. Definitely necessary. Everybody acts like it's a jungle out here in these streets. And low-key, it is.
It is.
Yeah, we out here trying to survive in these streets. And you made a good point earlier. You were saying, finding a black heterosexual man with a job, car, good job, car, that's like a...
No kids,
Yeah, no kids.
That's rare.
Right.
It's
rare, and
prime,
I'm realizing how rare it is.
Literally,
Mr.
prime
Queen with
real
hair
estate.
type.
That's what it is. That's what we call it. And because there are so many black women out here just doing it, and we don't got a lot of us don't have kids, even though despite what statistics may reveal, but there are a lot of more of us that are really popping and educated, and there's not enough black men to suffice that.
Right.
Because mass incarceration.
Right.
Yeah, that's real.
It's very much a thing.
And
then you got some that just don't like women.
Right.
Yes.
And people don't realize that's a thing too.
Like,
that is a thing.
It wasn't until I graduated from Howard that I realized how rare, or not rare, I don't want to say that, speak positivity, but one out of every 10.
Yeah.
Who's on your level. I got my degree and I have a good job and I have
10%?
I'm being dramatic and I can be like that, but it just hit me like a ton of bricks because I went to an HBCU, so I'm used to seeing a bunch of straight black men, educated, grinding to or something, because that's all I was around. Yeah. And then I graduated and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. This is not like the prototype anymore. This is not just what I see all the time.
Right. This isn't the standard. This is the outlier.
It's very interesting. I'm like, some of y'all switching harder than me.
Yeah.
It's a whole nother conversation. We're going to talk about the male-female relationships.
So
okay, well, what you want to...
Right. What you want to drop?
What you want to indulge in?
You do want to indulge in? I guess... I remember... I would say when I talk to my young lady friends and give them advice, and especially with arguments, and I felt that sometimes the arguments, I think the woman is feeling at the time, and the man is thinking, and you're not on the same level. Or vice versa. The man is feeling, she's thinking. When sometimes I know as men we need to just shut up and just listen to what she's saying. Even when you guys come to us with a problem It's like she ain't come to you to solve it. She came to you to listen to it.
Yes.
But as men, we're wired to, it's like, okay, we want to nip this in the bud, solve this. So I know as far as communication is real big. I value that more now. Because if you don't have good communication, then you're out of luck. I mean, you're upstream without a paddle.
Right.
And I mean, that's how it is in the military. I talked to one of my military buddies. He's like, yo, you don't have any comms, you can't do nothing. You can't progress without comms. Pretty much communication. So I'm actually here just to, get a better understanding of my sisters.
Okay.
How can we be better? How can we serve you? Because that's pretty much what we're here for.
So, like, what are you experiencing in the women that you meet or you come across? I think that
Terrible.
Y'all said it's a jungle. I mean,
it depends.
Okay, y'all familiar with basketball, right? Everybody knows LeBron. You remember Kwame Brown? So, all right, you courting a young lady. You think you might have drafted a LeBron. Then you get to know her. You ended up with a Kwame Brown, a draft bust.
Oh no.
But
And that's when we're feeling around, and you realize, okay, I think you realize in order for this to work, how much of myself I'm gonna have to compromise. And finding a sister where you don't have to compromise as much as yourself. Where some sisters I'm at, okay, I gotta bring myself down to her level.
That's interesting.
That's very interesting.
And where do you meet these sisters? I'm just wondering.
Right.
That's me. I mean, even at school, or even like when I was in school, met some sisters, and this is when I was like, I guess you could say, becoming conscious, because a big thing with some women is like religion. What else? I mean, that's the major one. And now I hear a lot of sisters say, okay, they have a personal relationship with God, but even just different religions. Muslim, I talked to a Christian woman. People taking that very serious. I'm like, yo, if you have friction up front right then and there,
that doesn't help.
How can you progress? I guess in regards to, like, I can give an example with my first love and not understanding people's upbringing and background. Understanding, like, my parents been together my whole life. My father's been in my life my whole life. But talking to someone who's coming from a single parent home, they may not understand that. I understood with my first love, she never experienced an unconditional love of a father. And when she broke my heart, at one I was pissed off at her, but in retrospect, I understood it's not her fault. Because this
it's
is
a
how
product
she's
of her environment.
It's just how she reacted to it. So that's why I mean, okay, not on the same level. And I'm not saying like bring them down. Like sometimes when bringing down is just like, okay, they may not have the same amount of exposure as you.
Right.
I was fortunate enough that I did the majority of my international travel when I was in high school. And so now, knowing since I've been in the business aviation industry, I said now I know how I want to travel. But yeah, I mean, meet some sisters. Okay, some people never been outside PG County. Some people never been outside the United States. And I believe when you have exposure, that makes you have a better understanding. You're more well-rounded. So then you can kind of bounce ideas off of each other. You kind of vibe better. Y'all got me talking a lot on here.
Can I just say something about your wording that may be helpful? Because I hear you.
Yeah, I'm here for help.
I think instead of using the phrase like "bring myself down," I think you can just say like,
and this is going on YouTube.
I'm thinking you can say like, expose them to, because I feel like the term "bringing yourself down" to meet someone makes the other person feel like they're being belittled, and that's not your intent. Exactly, and that's not your intent. Because I understand exactly.
It's funny that you
and
say
just
that
because
my mom says, like, the words you use in your tone.
have to be careful.
And you have to be your word choice and your delivery.
Yes,
is very much so key, especially when talking to women. Now, the thing is, you should always be honest with how you feel and your intentions. But your word choice are key. Some women are a little bit more sensitive than others, so you have to be mindful in what words that you use to express your truth.
Absolutely. Because people want to hear your truth.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to, the thing is, you want people to both listen and hear what you're saying.
Yes.
Both. And people don't get it. Just because someone's listening doesn't mean they're hearing you.
Exactly.
And sometimes people shut down. I'm going to shut it down.
I know
and majority
I
of the
have to
time.
listen more to us. Like, okay, are you hearing? Are you listening? You're so right in that regard. So I'm like, because when you brought that, I was like, yeah, my mom would say that. She's like, just watch it. I'm like, Mom, you're my mom. I'm like, I didn't know I sounded like that.
Mm-hmm.
And for, I guess with women, some things gotta hit us smack in our face.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I always say,
Tell somebody.
I would say, women fill in the blanks for us, but then on the flip side, they expect us to fill in the blanks for them. It's like, yo, we really don't know. And then the whole communication. If we don't communicate
that you don't know
Right.
exactly, then how
we're
are
expecting
we?
things right.
Then we're assuming, and especially with women, like we tend to overthink things.
Oh,
we
yes.
tend to analyze things to the
I
max.
didn't come to that conclusion.
Exactly, and it could have been totally
0 to 100 real quick.
not even what
What
we
you
were
said,
thinking.
right.
Something so simple, but we're thinking it's something totally different just off of your body language, or you not communicating what it is that you're feeling.
Yes.
And we are very intuitive.
Yes.
So we go off
Vibes and feelings.
most of the time. And it's like, if you say something a certain way, then we're going to take it the way you said it and not what you're saying.
Exactly.
It's going to be like,
exactly. But
he said this,
right?
but he
But
was
he
like,
had it like this.
Exactly. And then we go to our friends and we're like, girl, and
Exactly.
we also, because we think similar and we're wired similarly, that's what validates us. It takes you validating, like, babe, I actually really didn't mean it like that. That was my delivery. I was just in the mood. Because we're so sensitive when it comes to our men. In matters of the heart anyway, like whether it's a friendship or anything, we're sensitive. Yeah, we are. So we're not thinking, oh, he could have had a bad day earlier, so that's why he's short with me right now.
Exactly.
It's about us, because you're interacting with us, and we give men and the people in our lives our full attention when we're interacting with them. So we're not thinking about all these 31 different things
that you may have had going on that day.
Because you're talking to me right now.
Exactly.
Communicated to you. Because sometimes I know we like shut down. We just like to deal with it ourselves.
And most men do
I
that.
want to tell them about like my failures. Like, dang, I didn't do so well on this test.
Why?
I didn't do well on the interview. I don't know
why.
Nobody's perfect.
It's like, it's with a man. It's like you don't want to look at
pride.
being weak.
But
you're not. But that's not weak.
weak.
See, and that's one of the reasons that I even started, my whole organization is because of that. Because we tend to not be honest and upfront about how we feel because we're fearful of rejection, we're fearful of judgment, and it shouldn't be like that, especially with your spouse. If this is your spouse, you should be completely transparent. You should be completely vulnerable and not have any doubts or fears in expressing yourself with that person, because that is the person that you are in a relationship with.
Yeah, and that's
and love and want to build and
spending your life with, and you don't want to spend your life being half of yourself.
Yep.
Like, I feel like you need somebody asked the other day, do you think that the person your spouse or your person you're in a long-term relationship with should be your best friend? I had this conversation. Yeah, I personally think so. Some people may not agree with me. One of my best friends, not completely, like, you're not.
Okay, so
I'm in agreement now.
So this is my thing. I feel like your spouse definitely should be your close friend. They should definitely be your close, probably best friend of the opposite sex.
Right.
Yeah.
But
that's the only
yes,
thing.
but that's the key.
Best friend, not so much, only because men and women think totally differently. So if I'm in one of my woman moods,
right,
I can't talk to you and tell you how I'm feeling at the moment, because you may be like, but babe, you overreacting. Like, it's not that serious.
And that's going to make me more mad.
For me, exactly. Whereas I can go to my girl and be like, girl, so this is how I feel. Girl, yeah, me too. And this is how.
Yeah.
It's just that. True. So I feel as though, like, your spouse definitely should be your close friend, but not necessarily your best friend. Your best friend of the opposite sex.
I agree with that. I totally agree with that too.
Yeah.
And also, because men, I don't know, or maybe it's just the type of men I date. How about that? Let me not give anybody else their truth. I don't know what it is, or why I'm attracted to guys who love playing devil's advocate. But when I'm venting,
I know that's
I'm not
right.
trying to hear
Lord.
that
Hold on.
shit.
Oh,
I'm
yes.
not trying to hear that.
Give me,
Like, if I'm like,
I think-
babe, especially because ask any of my exes, they all know. I go to them first. Whenever I'm having a bad day, I'm like, babe, guess what happened? And I'm like, well, maybe this person, let me
Right.
let me like, this is
Oh,
not-
Don't tell me
don't
what
tell
they
me,
might
don't
have.
give me the other person's
Yeah.
perspective right
Yeah,
now.
we-
Like, I don't know why
first
that
when we
is.
Do that, and that's when I started learning. Shut up.
Listen.
to her, let her vent.
Yes. Until she says, what do you think?
Yeah.
That's
And if I
literally
don't
all we
ask,
want.
don't tell me.
Like, we're trying to give you understanding,
Right.
but
And give you
said,
the
guys are
logical
going to
right.
your heart and feelings. We're more. I know we're more logical.
Logical. And
Yes,
and
that's
that's
true.
the thing. So, and men tend to, when we come to them with our problems, they're more so logical and rational
Right.
in the decision making and the problem solving, whereas we're more emotional.
Mm-hmm.
And Grant, I wouldn't necessarily say that, men are the only one with this problem, but I feel like women as well, we both tend to not listen sometimes to each other.
That's true.
Sometimes we just listen to respond
Yep.
because of how we're feeling.
Yeah.
And because we're emotional, I think both parties have to, understand how to, one, let that other person finish their thought, listen, take it in, and then respond. And do it that way. Because I feel like both men and women, we both do it. We both don't listen sometimes, and we already have an answer like, oh, I already know what you're going to say. And then it's kind of just like, that's how.
You don't know what I'm saying. Like, yeah.
You heard of the 7 habits of highly effective people?
Mm-hmm.
Like one
Yes.
habit, I would tell my dad this. I was like, Dad, I think this one habit might not apply to women. It's like
Lord,
seek
what?
first to understand, then to be understood.
No,
And so
you got a point.
I was, because I guess just expressing, when you come to one with an issue, and sometimes, like you said, you guys do it too. You're coming, you're giving a response based on your emotions and feelings. I'm like, nah, I came to you for this.
Right.
But I realize that you're so right. Communication, just being honest, upfront, and listening.
open. Yeah, and listening is
And
definitely
that's
key.
hard. I
And
guess.
it's all
It is.
effective communication. And effective communication is your body language. Listening is what you're saying, how open you are, how receptive you are. And a lot of times, a lot of people don't realize, like, you can be having a conversation with someone, but if their body language is telling you that they're not listening or not paying attention,
you shut
then
down.
you shut down.
Yep.
And you're like, well, see, you're not listening to me. And then they're
And
like,
it
but I
becomes
am
a
listening
yes.
to you. But no, you're not. And then it just goes left when you're just trying to express yourself.
And mind
with
you,
that
it
person.
could have been like we could be in our own space and this is our own mannerisms. And this is how we normally like listen to things. But it's like if somebody, we have to be mindful of other people's love languages.
Yes.
Right.
If
That
somebody
is
is
key.
not like with the you're sitting here on your phone, but we're sitting here watching
Right.
TV.
Right.
Like that's
Right.
those little things can really like blow
Blow
up.
up.
No,
It does.
and you're absolutely right. Like, knowing how people communicate their love is very, very much so key. I can be, my highest out of all 5 could be words of affirmation, whereas yours just may be acts of service. So if I'm not getting words of affirmation,
Then I feel like you don't
then I'm
care.
gonna feel
Yeah.
like you don't care or you're
Exactly.
uninterested. So then
But what
I'm
I
coming
want
at
you to watch,
you
I care.
exactly.
That's-
Exactly.
I
And I'm
just had
coming
this
at you with like, well, you don't tell me this, and you
Yep.
they're like, but
What are
I
you
just
talking
brought
about?
you this, and I got you that, and we just went here. But I'm like, but
What does that have to
it
do with
doesn't
anything?
matter because
Yeah,
it just
really
depends
is
on
like,
which
that's extra
which
stuff. You're not fine with just
No,
ice
it's-
cream. I
and
just
it
want
depends
you
on
to
which
have the toppings and all
spectrum
that.
You're on.
you're on, and you
The
have to be
topic.
aware of that. Where both parties are aware of that, and you
Right.
both kind of compromise that.
And cater
So-
to, yeah.
Exactly, and you have to cater to
how the
each
person
one
would. Yeah.
effectively because, and you
I
can't
like
be
that,
selfish
cater.
in it. You cannot be selfish in it. I can't expect all words of affirmation and not give him the quality time that he needs because
right.
I don't necessarily my language
Yeah, that's
may
not
not
your
just be
primary
that.
love
That may
language.
be
You have
down
to
at the
listen to
bottom.
it.
Yeah, you have to love people how
Exactly.
they need to be loved. I literally
Exactly.
just got into that argument. I was like, well, when we were together, you weren't paying attention to that. He was like, I took you here. I drove you here. He was like, you are. He was like going off. He's like, no. And literally listed. And it was like 10 things. And I was like, damn, you're right. But it's just because my love language is
That's your problem.
quality time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so if you're not loving, if you're not paying attention to me, and giving me that, like, what I need, then I feel like you don't care. If you're half listening, I feel like you don't care, and it doesn't matter what else you do, because he listed the whole thing. It was like 15 things that he did. Yeah. It was great. And then when I saw it written out, I was like, dang, yeah. And I was like, all right, we're gonna take this love languages quiz. He was like, are you serious? I was like, I'm dead serious. We're gonna take this quiz.
I totally recommend it. Like, if people don't know what their love languages are, you should definitely find out, because then that can, help you in your current relationship or your future relationships, just knowing how you communicate, your love, because that's a big thing. And it can kind of solve, arguments or misunderstandings off of something as small as, well, we don't spend enough time together because my quality time is at a 12 and yours is at a 2.
Right.
Boom.
But you want to buy me gifts because that's your 12.
Love, right.
And that's my 2.
Exactly.
So it's just all about
like
knowing that and compromising
catering.
that.
I'm gonna start using catering versus compromise, because I feel like compromise is
has a negative connotation because the way
Sometimes-
our society
Sometimes.
Sometimes,
You're right.
yeah.
Sometimes.
And that's the thing.
catering is like, we cater. It's mutual catering.
And see, and that's the thing. People think compromising is like a bad thing, which it really isn't. You're not taking anything away from yourself,
right,
or the situation. You're actually bringing something more to it, to where you both recognize that you both can kind of shift things to make it work for you, and that essentially, helps you grow as a person and in your relationship.
and it helps you learn parts of yourself that you didn't know you existed.
Yes.
Like if you're somebody who thought
Absolutely.
that you were a selfish person, until you love someone in a way that they need to be loved, then that teaches you about yourself as well. And I think that's something that's really dope. And
Absolutely.
people
I
kind of
think
forget.
Zoe Williams, he had a book with the relationship dismount or something. And he was talking about a relationship like that's a curriculum for yourself.
It is.
He said, you're in class, you really learn. I was like, I learned so much about myself being in relationships. I even told my dad this, because I'm like, in your eyes, you might think you're a good husband, but the only person who can truly determine that or have to find is your wife. So,
and you may not necessarily be a good husband to her, because depending on what her love languages are and how you guys, mesh. Like, relationships are hard work. I tell people this all the time.
24/7.
Relationships
24/7.
are not something that's just unicorns and rainbows.
No.
Like,
You have to fight
relationships have ups, they have downs. You have moments where it's just a bad space.
Right.
And you have to, again, be able to communicate how you feel and where things are going with the person that you're in a relationship with. I tell people, I suggest that, instead of really jumping into a relationship, get to know the person. Really set and build that friendship foundation to where you can get to know that person on their good days, their bad days, when they're upset, when they're sad, how they operate in that form and how you respond to them. Because then that way, when you do get in a relationship, you're able to, move with them. You're able to you guys are on the same wavelength. It's not where you don't know why he's acting like that. Well, I didn't know that he would be like this when he's upset, and then the relationship is done.
But then at the same time, because I'm infamous for talking to somebody for mad long. Like, I'm infamous for that. And then,
That's
and
facts.
then,
I'm like thinking about it, I'm like, she right.
and then be like, okay, we can be in a relationship. And then now it's like this whole dynamic, like, because they didn't have the same hold over you as they did. And so now you're like, you're accountable to them, you're answering to them, and you're catering to them. And so you thought it was all cool, and like y'all was vibing, and like y'all can kick it, whatever. Like, I'm a kicking type of person. I kick it with dudes all the time, and that's just who I am. But when it comes to a relationship, it's like, it was like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
No,
You know what I mean?
and
Like,
it definitely is different.
It can be.
It's definitely different and dependent on the person. And that's another thing, because a lot of times when you do, meet people, they have these representatives. They have like this mask that they, have, because people don't necessarily want to be vulnerable to new people. So then as time goes on, layers are being unfolded. Not necessarily in the way that you're expecting them to, but little things you should notice, little things, you know, should come into light where you be like, let me make that as a mental note. But we cool, I ain't gonna say nothing, you know.
I'm the queen of noted.
But,
I'm like, just peeped.
Got it. Noticing like those small things and just how, you know, they move just in general as a person. Because when you get in a relationship, you shouldn't lose a sense of yourself or who you are. Right. But those, you know, characteristics and, you know, things are going to be in your relationship. So that's on you to kind of take a mental note and kind of be like, but damn, if we get together and he act like this when he upset, damn, am I really going to be able to deal with this? I don't know, maybe not.
Right.
You know, and it's just like those little things. That's why, you know, I say you should definitely, you know, build a friendship. That way you can even have them be a little bit more comfortable in being open in their true selves.
Yeah. And then even yourself, like sometimes, you know, sometimes you're putting on this self and then it's like as soon as the curtain's drawn and like the lights are off and all that, like I don't know, you like sometimes you don't want people to see you.
Yeah.
And now that they see you, it's like, all right, this is what it is.
Like, right.
So how you feeling?
So the crazy thing. But that ain't even nothing new. That shouldn't even be nothing like
especially between relationships of color, if you don't expect your woman to
you're
out of order, you're wrong.
And know that she doesn't care. She doesn't.
And
she want her hair to break off.
One young lady I was talking to, and she said this guy she was dating, he made a comment. He was like, I don't like how you look with this bonnet on. And I'm like,
oh, so you don't like me then?
Well, how do you? I kind of expected it to be. I was like, okay, now I get to see the real you. About time. Right. Like that. You knew it's coming, but when you were talking about in regards to, I guess things not coming out like how they handle the situation, and he was like, "Dang, I don't know if I want to deal with that." But if you really feeling the person, at what point do you express to them? Not so much that might be an issue, but you might ask, why did you react that way?
About it.
Yeah. When do you express it? Because I know sometimes you're like, the potential level, maybe I might not just say anything. This might not be for me, or maybe I'm really feeling this dude. I'm gonna say something.
Right. So for me, I like to tell people, you do what you feel is comfortable, because only you know what level, you know, you are with that person. Only you know where they are on your on your scale into how comfortable you are with them. If it's something like, you know, oh, they blew up at the waiter when they was at the when y'all were at the restaurant because let's say they forgot to give you a napkin. That may be definitely an issue.
For me, that's a red flag.
Exactly.
Other people may be fine with that. That's a red flag.
And that may be a red flag for you. And if this is somebody that you've never seen this type of behavior before and it happens, then you definitely bring it to their attention, just, you know, in a way to where you're not accusing, but you're letting them know, like, hey, I recognize this. I'm not necessarily cool with that. I think you could have handled it a little bit differently. Right. Now, how they respond to that, that's on you. Me personally, I'm straight up, completely honest, up front. From the beginning, I'm like, look, this is the type of person I am. This is what I want. This is what I don't want. This is what I like. This is what I don't like. I have a bad attitude. Please don't do these things to push me there. If you don't, we're completely good. And with some guys, they're like, I appreciate that. Like, okay, no doubt. Other guys, they be like, all right. You know what I mean? But for me, I would rather, you know, just be straight up and open, honest in that way, so that you won't. So first and foremost, we won't be wasting each other's time.
Point.
And secondly, you know what you're getting yourself into. So you can never say, oh, well, you never told me about this. Or who knew that you would be this way? But I told you. Right. But I did. So I think it's just all about really communication and being able to be open and honest with the person that.
That's dope that you evolved that's the way. Like, I think
be straight up.
Most women don't do. I think most women that I'm in close proximity with don't do that because the way society has kind of taught us Okay, so the other day I looked at my Snapchat, right? So I looked at my Snapchat and I randomly put, like, I was like, as women, we let a lot of weird guys get away with a lot.
Yeah.
But it's true. But it's true.
Define
You're
weird.
not letting me finish. Okay. Okay, so fun fact. Right. Weird, like, just guys who were just like just, I mean, because, so my cousin was in town. We went to Barcode. Mm-hmm. And I was sitting there looking around, it's cool. Sunday girl.
Girl.
And I was looking around at these dudes, like, trying to talk and trying to be, and everybody was just trying real hard to be cool. And, like, some people were just genuinely, like, some people were cool, some people were good looking, some people were dusty, some people were ashy, everybody was just had their ways, But it's just one thing I noticed is, like, society teaches women, especially black women, that we have to compete for a man. Mm-hmm. And so we let men get away with a lot of weird stuff. Like, don't ever let no ashy, crusty dude make you question your confidence. Because the way that some guys, because I have guy friends who are great men, terrible boyfriends.
Yes.
I've never, ever been with, to the point where I'm like, I'm going to cut you out for your
because that's what it is.
But it's because they're like, oh, girls are replaceable, girls are disposable. I'm like, girls need to have that same attitude.
It's like a smorgasbord out here.
And that's the thing. But it should be the same. We should have that same attitude.
Like, exactly.
The sad part about it is that we don't.
Really.
And because it's so like rare to find, an available black man that you are attracted to, connect with, the energy is great. That's tall. No, but have all the qualities that you may look for.
Right. It's literally, sometimes it can be impossible, especially depending on the circles you run in.
Yeah, and your exposure. Because, like, for example, I work in the hood. I take 70 and X2. Who am I really about to find on the bus? Like, who?
Right, I live in the hood. If I was single, I don't know what I would do.
But I don't have time. I'm a diamond in the rough. I don't have time to wait on you to get together.
Perfect.
So, like,
you're a diamond in the rough that might meet a diamond in the rough, and
I mean, if that happens, that happens. But I'm past I'm grateful to be 23 and
but there's a difference.
I'm past my grooming dude state. Like, I'm not here for that. I'm here for.
Y'all actually groom dudes?
No, well,
not like
in a
that,
sense to where, okay, so this is my thing. A lot of, because society is already hard on black men as it is, and they have so much on their shoulders and things that they want to accomplish and, try and do. Majority of the times they are by themselves. They don't have or didn't have that father that was in their life for 37 years. They had their grandmother, they had their mother, they had aunts. So, and the hood boys, dudes on the corner. So those were, their examples. So once they, reach a certain level or age to where they understand, I don't necessarily want to be in that life. I want to do this. I want to do better. It takes them a little bit longer. I don't necessarily think you should kind of just be like, well, nah, I ain't checking for that. It should be more so just their ambition and what they're doing. Right. Because you can have, one guy who's from the hood. He may be living with his moms, don't have no car, but he's working, he's going to school, he's trying to get into IT, and he treats you well.
Right.
He treats you well.
So would y'all date him?
I would if I'm attracted to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I'm attracted to it. Like, that's totally different. I just know for me, I'm not in a place right now where I can overly compromise for someone else right now. Like, maybe in a few years.
Overly compromise.
But I have that tendency to do that. Okay. So I know I learned to check myself and be like Ty, be 100% you. And somebody's gonna bang with it or somebody won't. Like, and that's fine. But I know I'm just getting out of that habit. So I shouldn't jump back in right now. Like, I gotta get myself in formation.
But I feel like if both are giving, that much in it, then it should work. It should be no issues or no problems, because if he's overly compromising for you and you're overly compromising for,
then that's equal.
For him, then you guys are kind of equally yoked.
Right.
Yep.
And it should work. It should be,
balance.
Moving.
Yeah.
Now sometimes it does, get a little bit unbalanced, but it's on the both of you guys to kind of get it back on that balanced state where one has to be like, all right, look, what we about to do, because this ain't working and this is how I'm feeling, so we just gonna have to reshift some things.
So I got a question for all y'all.
Oh, please.
So I read this book, right, and it's called "Is Marriage for White People?"
I've heard of it.
Is
marriage for white people?
Yeah, is marriage for white people? How the African American marriage decline affects everyone. It's a good book. ... So I was frustrated with the ending, and I'll tell y'all the end because I don't, Basically, the guy said, like, mind you, he's not a psychologist or anything. He just did the research. Like, he went to different places around the U.S., interviewed a whole bunch of people, like black women, white women, black men, white men, because the whole thing was about comparing us to how other racial relationships go. And his conclusion was that black women need to date more outside our race, and that we need to lower our standards. And I don't think, like, okay, so like he would take examples, like, I mean, I get it, like, regardless, most black women are gonna lower their standards, like those hard standards, like, he has to have more money than me, he has to have a higher degree than me, or like the same degree than me, or like things like that. Some, like a lot of black women are probably going to compromise on that in real life.
Honestly, if you really look at the statistics.
Exactly. So it's like, but why is it all on us?
Right.
To date outside our race, or to pick up our black men when it's
Isn't
really
it always on us? That's probably why. That's normalized that it is on black women.
So this is my thing. People tend to get confused what standards are and what preferences are. Standards, a lot of times, when people say, oh, I got to lower my standards, or, I have to, change my standards. I'm not dumbing down, my standards. But the question is, what are standards to you? Because a lot of times, us as black women, I even have friends that do it, that say that their standards are more so preferences. Whoa. Your standards are not physical attributes. Your standards are the quality in that man, the characteristic of that man, the values that man possesses. Those are standards. Preferences, okay, yeah, he got to be 6'5". That's a preference. You should be able to
that's true.
To change and compromise your preferences.
Yes, that's
but
true.
Your standards
should be
are not the physical or the superficial materialistic attributes of a man. It's the quality of that man. And no, you should not lower those standards or change those in what you're looking for in a man. You want a man that is going to treat you well, that will be there for you, that can, comfort you, that can be a companion, that will walk on the curb, will walk on the
street
side.
When
you're walking down the street.
That's
you want those are standards to me.
Same.
And I think a lot of times, we kind of get confused because of what we see, society, and that we take these preferences and put them in standards, and then it's like, oh, well, I'm not lowering my standards, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. But if you take them preferences out and you look at those standards, you'll probably find some men that will hold up to those standards.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, your preferences may change. Okay, he may not be 6'5", but he 5'10". He treats you well.
Right. And heels.
So us really learning that and understanding the difference between those two, I think, are really, really key in us even looking for or even remotely trying to get in a relationship with someone.
I agree. Oftentimes we switch them as black. Like, we'll be like, I was having a conversation with my line sister yesterday, and she was saying that this girl that she knows, she was like, it's okay if a guy cheats on you as long as he knows he wants to marry you. And I was big T. And that's the issue. I think what we do wrong, and I'm speaking is we switch standards and preferences. So we're like, it's okay if he doesn't treat me right because he has... No. Absolutely not. And also, those preferences can change at any moment. Exactly. I can date a guy making 6 figures. If he loses his job, then all of a sudden he ain't worth nothing. Then no, that's not true.
Exactly.
That's not true. Those change.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
Like, do you want a man that, okay, he may have 6 figures in his preferences, but is a jerk. So when you lose your job, he looking at you like, well, I don't know
babe,
what
you gonna do.
What you gonna do?
How you about to act?
Y'all in this situation, like, and that's the thing. Once we are clear with that, we'll be all right.
I thank you.
And you attract the energy you put out. Once you're clear with that, you will attract that. It's
because
true.
like we're constantly perpetuating this narrative that black women have these too high standards. That we don't know how to keep a man because we don't know how to talk to them. But like, for example, you know, he even used this in the book Daddy's Little Girls, where Gabrielle Union and Idris Elba were the love interest, and Gabrielle Union is this, like, you know, she's a lawyer. She was a lawyer, and Idris Elba is a mechanic, and he's trying to get his own shop, and he's trying to get his girls together, but she wasn't trying to give him the time of day because he was a mechanic, and because her friends were like, oh,
girl, you can do
this, girl, this, that, and third, and then she wanted to go talk to, I don't even know who was the other dude.
But he was trifling.
But exactly, he was trifling.
Somebody like she was talking to, and
he was everything on paper, but he was trash as an individual.
Exactly. He was married, and his wife came.
I remember that date.
It was a lot, and that's the thing. You have to be mindful of the type of man that you're attracting. Again, the preferences does not equal
a good person.
The characteristics of that man.
Can we go back to this? Okay, this grinds my gears to this. We don't know how to talk to our men.
Yeah.
Why is it that when non-black Spanish girls talk crazy to their men is cute?
But that's their culture.
And it is. I know. My grandfather's Puerto Rican. I know it's the culture because dealing with that man, I would have to say to him like that too. Growing up. He's everything. But still, why? But it's crazy because when certain people do it, it's cute. But when black women do it, we have a bad attitude. It's this. It's that. Like, it's just like, no. Like those catch-22s. Like I do challenge black men in the same to understand us as hard as we have continued to understand them. Period. Like, period. Because that's wild to me. Like, it always blows my mind when people say, oh, black men, especially like even guys I've dated, they be like, oh, I love when you go off on me because you know that's that Puerto Rican coming out. First of all, like, stop. That makes you not want to deal with them.
Right.
That makes you stop.
Now, I could probably tell how you feel. It's like, well, why don't you go deal with a Puerto Rican then? If you're going to make that statement.
Or you can just date my grandfather. Like, don't date me.
No. And,
like, don't
and some guys do get a kick out of that. It's
I know.
like
that crazy girl thing, that
fiery,
crazy,
thing. But I think, like, the whole, how black women talk to black men now, you do have some women that do take it a little too far.
But you said
a little too far. And
y'all heard
it's and the thing is with black men, I will say this, black men have it, in my opinion, in my experience, they have it the hardest. We as black women, we definitely go through things, but they have it the hardest. They've had, if you think about all the way back to slavery, where the slave master is raping, your wife, and you standing there and you can't do anything. Because why? If you do, he'll kill her and you and the kids. So I think that we don't necessarily think about everything that we have endured as a people, as a couple, relationship-wise, and as individuals, from black women to black men, all the way from slavery and beyond. Like, those are intricate, things that have happened in our ancestry that generationally has, like,
imprinted,
subconsciously has been imprinted in us as a people and a culture, and not necessarily thinking about, hey, you know what? Maybe I won't come at him like that because I get it. He had a long day at work. His boss probably, like, you never know mentally what they're going through. So to come home and have all that, it's kind of just like, bruh. But I think that for me, because I used to be one of them ones. I used to be one of the ones that like, oh, you ain't gonna talk to me like that, and really go until I really, sat. I did some research, some studying, and I read a couple books, and I said, you know what? Let me just shut my mouth a little bit, when it comes to certain things, because we understand, but we really don't understand because we're not that black man. We're not them.
And they're not us.
And that's the thing. That's the thing I challenge them with too.
Exactly.
Like the understanding of she was getting raped though. You were standing there, but she was getting raped. The luxury that I say that black men do have is they have a group of people who hold them down no matter what, which is black women. Yes. Black women don't even hold each other down.
Yes.
We don't even hold each other down the way that we hold down black men. And that's the thing, like, and the fact that nobody acknowledges our struggle because we are so seen as these superhuman, you are so like strong, all this. Who do we lean on though? Because if I'm holding you up and my kids are looking to me and society's looking to me and I'm looking to myself, then who's holding me up too? And I think that's the thing that like, I will never say that black men have it harder per se, only because they get to acknowledge that they have it hard. And I know for me as a person, I'm somebody who's about release. And I feel like black women are not given the opportunity to collectively release because we are always holding things up and holding it down. It's like, who's holding it down for me? Especially for all the people.
And that black man is supposed to be that one that's supposed to be there and be like, you know what, babe?
Right.
I got you.
That's why.
Just like you would look at him and be like, you know what? I'm gonna just shut
up for right now.
What you want?
All right, y'all. I'm gonna have to shut it down.
We have another show after this.
So I know that was a riveting conversation.
Come back. Juicy part.
I feel like we need a part 2. High key. But before they cuss us out, we need to go.
Have a good one and prosper.
Yes, Maria, tell them where they can find you.
Oh, yeah. Y'all can follow me on Instagram, Concrete Conversations. Check out my YouTube channel, Concrete Conversations. Facebook, Concrete Conversations. And thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me on the show. I've learned a lot.
And we
better understand it.
And we hope y'all have learned a lot. Okay.
Exactly. Or at least been thinking.
Exactly. So y'all have a blessed day, and we're out.
See you next Tuesday.
Bye.
No.